Hello, welcome back to Vino Frankel, a Taste of Sculpterra. I talk about wine and winemaking, grape growing, Héroe, Sculpterra, everything that we're involved in here in Paso Robles and at the vineyard and winery. I just got back from vacation. My name is Paul Frankel. I'm the host of this podcast. I might not always make sense, but I make wine. That's my new thing,
Nice.
Pablo. And I've got two of our employees here today. Let me scan over to them. They can introduce themselves. Pablo. Marlen.
Hello. I'm the crew of Sculpterra. Glad to be here.
And also Darren Brown is back in the studios.
Again. Yeah, well, fourth time, I think.
Yep, Darren's our wine expert, wine educator. He does art tours, tastings. Pablo, who you just saw, does all the, there's a lot of the outside pouring events, which we're going to talk about that today, since it's still feels like it's the beginning of the new year, and I'm scheduling lots of events and pourings, right. And we're doing some new things and older events, so very fun. I just got back. I wasn't here last week, so thank you, Brian, Donna, and Patrick. I watched the episode when it went up, so you guys did great. Thank you for doing it in my absence. I thought about doing it in Mexico, doing like a podcast off-site, but then I was like, you know what, let's just have them do it, and I, gave them the reins, and I thought it went really well. So thank you guys. And they had a section where they talked about me and maybe personal stories, and they were very nice. I thought they were going to tease me, but I thought they were going to
They didn't
roast Paul. Yeah, exactly. That's going to be a roast Paul show, but it was more of a praise Paul. So you guys are very sweet. Thank you. So now that you were so sweet, you can come on again. Okay, so today we're going to talk about Viognier, which is the only white grape that we grow on the property, Viognier. In fact, I think the very first podcast I did a couple months ago, we tried Viognier because it's what makes Paso special. Or it's one of the wines that makes Paso special. I think Viognier and Paso is just an incredible combination. We make the best Viognier in the world. That's my personal opinion. I've tried French Viogniers and Viogniers from other states in America, and you have South America and France, obviously, but Viognier in Paso, amazing. We're going to talk about that. We're working in the vineyard. This is our third week pruning. We're doing some pretty incredible cuts. We're converting our VSP tasting room vineyard to cane pruning, and we're going to just leave 2 to 3 canes on those vines. If you look at them right now, they've got 4 to 6 canes, but now we're going to choose and select the best looking canes and then leave spur positions for next year. So I think it's really going to help the health of the vines long term. And we finished pruning the hilltop cab. We're going to move to the Primitivo, the Grenache. It takes us about a month to prune everything. Viognier, speaking of Viognier, that one we're not going to prune until March because it can break bud and have frost damage can occur. So the later you prune, the later it'll grow. So once we finish everything up to the Viognier, then we're going to stop. But it hasn't rained. I'm sure you guys, it was just incredible that we had 10.5 inches of rain before January, or to the beginning of January, and we were above average and really on a great rain trajectory, and then it dried up.
Then the weather's been so nice that everything's budding.
Yeah.
Early.
And the grass is growing tall.
The trees are budding out already. Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, but there's no rain in the 10-day forecast, but that could change. We could have rain in mid-February. We could have a miracle March. We'd like to get at least 15 inches of rain. The average rain in Paso, they say, is 12 inches. I think the average rain on our property is more like 9 inches. So we've had 10.5 for the season.
That much of a difference.
Yeah, we get less rain on our side than, say, the downtown Paso or the west side, which gets much more rain as you head towards the coast, as you head towards Cambria. Yeah, we're working in the winery too. We're checking malolactic fermentation. We've got a bottling coming up. I'm bottling 6 wines at Sculpterra February 11th and 12th. And then we're bottling Viognier February 17th. So it's that time of year. We always break up our bottlings. We do bottlings in February, May, August, and December. Different wines get bottled at different times, obviously, different times in oak. So that's exciting. And what I've tasted so far, I'm really enjoying. We've got some excellent wines coming out. We're almost out of Cab Franc, and we're bottling 23 Cab Franc, so that's great. We have a lot of wine club members that are excited about that. And then Viognier, we're tasting Viognier today, and we're sold out of the 23 Sculpterra Viognier. Héroe Viognier 23 has been out for a long time. We skipped 24, now we're bottling a 25. So today's tasting is kind of a preview of what our 2025 Viogniers are going to be. All right, well, I just got back from a vacation in Mexico with my wife and son. My parents have a house down there, and just incredible. We ate at some amazing restaurants, met some great people.
I'm envious.
Yes,
I bet you did.
The meals in Mexico, a lot of seafood, a lot of carne asada, pollo, all the good stuff, And we were on a lake Chapala there. We had a day where I convinced my son and wife that we should rent bicycles. Okay, so then once we were on the bikes, I said, well, let's just keep going. So we went 10 miles, 20 miles in one direction, turned around, went to the other part of the lake, and we spent the whole day on the bikes. It was 200 pesos a day to rent a bike. So that's $10.20 a day to rent a bike.
That is so cheap. And by the weather, by the picture, it looks like you had good weather.
Oh, yeah. It's
not too hot either.
Well, what's interesting about Lake Chapala is it's 5,000 feet elevation, but it's close to the equator. So it's not humid because of the elevation, but it's not hot because it's not hot because of the elevation. It's not humid because of the elevation, but it's never cold because of where it is in proximity to the equator.
Very moderate.
It's never higher than 80. It's never cooler than 50. So it's and it's dry. I love that it's dry. I've been to Mazatlan, where my wife is from, and in the summer, I mean, it's the humidity kills.
But you get all the tropical fruits because you live in the area.
Right.
So you can have all the guavas and guanabanas and all those amazing things that we don't get fresh.
This is us at the house here. We're having my winemaker snack attack. Okay, this is that classic. I do cheese and salami, walnuts, raisins, crackers. We were having Primitivo. I brought down a case of wine, and we gave probably half the case away to friends that we knew down there, and we're enjoying wine and great time.
Spreading the good.
Yep. There we are. Yeah, Lake Chapala has a bunch of lily pads. So if you look, you can see part of the lake back there.
Yes.
Just beautiful.
That's a great photo, Paul.
Yeah, thank you.
She gives you an upgrade.
We've got my harvester on. Then we went to a hot spring. So this is a hot springs that they had pools. So that it comes out 128 8 degrees, and they cool it off. It gets pumped up to this big tank. They let the water cool off to 104, and then they have water slides, hot tubs. They have you can pay extra to do like a lavender hot tub, and then there's chocolate, and then there's oatmeal, and you could do each one, and it's different. Amazing. It's helpful with your skin and all that sort of stuff. Or you could just go out there and swim. So my son was loving it.
And that's Abraham. He's got such a big smile. Just loving life.
He loves the water.
Handsome guy.
Great vacation. Yep. More food.
Oh, you're killing us.
Gotta love the Mexican food.
You're killing us.
Yep, but now it's back to work. Yep, there's the view. Just amazing sunsets over the lake. So
those are beautiful.
Love it. It's nice
photos.
that my wife and I speak pretty good Spanish, so we were really comfortable moving around, meeting people, talking, and people in Mexico are so sweet. Oh, we ate a lot of coconuts. This is my wife's favorite thing to do. You get a coconut off the road, and the guy opens it for you. You drink it, and he breaks it open, takes out the coconut meat. You eat it right there. You could put salt and lemon and pepper on it. So she has one coconut a day. That's her quota.
Really?
Yep.
Well, there could be worse ways to spend a week in January.
Yes. Yeah, you'd think about what the rest of the country's experiencing. Very, very cold. Exactly. Okay. Well, thank you, everybody. I had a great vacation, and now I'm back, and I'm here to stay. There's a lot going on now. Lots of things on my agenda on the calendar. So I'm gonna go to Darren here. I have some questions for Darren now that he's back on the podcast. So Darren, you're English. You're from England, Great Britain. What are English people? What do they drink these days? Are they getting more into wine? Would you say?
No, I think in my part of the country, in the southwest, a lot of it's hard cider. But yeah, and I suppose that there's a lot available of the less expensive, slightly sweet wines from Europe that's cheaper to get there. And I guess a lot of people drinking wine when they're first drinking it when they're young. There's that kind of style. I think it's generally an older generation that prefer what I would consider serious, serious wine.
Do you know if young people are they're maybe learning more about wine, getting into wine? Is there any kind of movement with young people? That's always what we were trying to aim for.
Yeah.
Young people.
No, I'm not sure. There is at least not as much as I'd like to see. It's encouraging next generation to have an interest in what makes wine so special and its sense of place and all that kind of thing. But I guess you can't push people into it. There are certain programs like the WSET program that I followed started off in England. So it's available, it's there. I do question just how many people are actually doing it.
And you're close to all of Europe and France. So you think wine's available.
That's right, yeah.
Is there an increase in price coming from Europe because of duty or taxes?
A little, not so much as here, but it's a lot of the wines there. Although I never quite understood that Spanish wine would be less expensive, but also Chilean wine would be back in England, whereas Californian wine would still be kind of pricey even for the entry level.
Oh, okay.
So, but yeah, there's a lot of inexpensive wine available for sure.
I have a question. I haven't looked at the data, but in high level terms, what's a per capita consumption of wine compared to beer? Because we think of Brits and Irish as beer drinkers.
Yeah, I think it does depend on the generation. I think the younger age folks are all about the beer and the cider.
Okay. Interesting.
Okay, well, what about this, Darren? We're going to switch gears from England to California. How do you compare? Do you think Paso is better than Napa, on par with Napa? We've elevated our game to where we're even with Napa. What do you think?
We could do an episode just on that, couldn't we?
Right.
I think it's hugely subjective, and it depends on individual what they want from wine. There's no denying, of course, especially for Cabernet Sauvignon and Chardonnay, Napa's got a phenomenal reputation. But when it comes to quality for the price point and variation, I'm pretty certain Paso's above. So,
there you go.
The number of grape varieties out here, the variety in winemaking styles. There's something for everybody out here. Whether we're the best is such a subjective thing. Different, I would say. Yeah. And if your taste is a cab that could last 40, 50 years and you're willing to pay for it, then sure, Napa may well have the edge there. But if you want, better value, more variety, fruitier wine you can afford and drink younger, then I'd go with Paso.
Yeah, I remember our employee Dale Morris, who used to work for us. You guys all know Dale Morris. She gave me a book a couple of years ago, and it was Aged Wines in Napa or something called that. And you open it up, and it just shows these Napa cabs that are $400, $600, and it says when to drink them. And the book is like 1,000 pages.
Really?
And the brands I've never heard of, all these labels. I should show it to you, and it's like these wines are out there. And there's people that collect these, and they're very high priced wines that they're holding on to, and there's a lot of them. A lot of these wines. It really impressed me.
I rarely serve customers that are at that level. They're going to age wines for 20 years plus.
Yeah.
They love our wines, but it's a different demographic here, a whole different experience. And I hear continually people from Napa, they come and go, I wanted to discover Paso because people are talking about your region. And it's an overall really good experience. Price point, friendliness, approachability.
Right. Well, what about this, Darren? What's the oldest wine you've ever tasted?
Well, I had to. I thought you were going to ask me that. I kind of looked it up earlier. I was looking through some Facebook posts, and I thought originally that it was a bottle of Chateau Lafitte's second wine. It was a 2001 that I opened in 2019, and I brought it in. We tried it from the caravan. So that was like a 19-year-old Bordeaux. But then I found an older post back from when I used to vacation, and it was a 1986 Rioja wine that was, 24 years old, I think, by the time I opened it. Found it in a random store in Spain in the Pyrenees when I was on vacation.
You got those pictures, Miguel?
And there was some historical Facebook photos.
Now these old wines you tried,
There it is.
would you say they were still tasting good?
Yeah, I think the Lafite wine. I mean, the Carrera de Lafite is their second wine, but even at 19 years old, I figured that probably had another 10 years plus in it, and that wasn't
right?
stored in optimal conditions. That started in 1986. So that was one of the best lunches ever. And I'm not one for like fancy restaurants. I like to cook, but we bought that in a little town in the Spanish Pyrenees. Opened it in France, underneath one of the tallest waterfalls in Europe. Drank out of the plastic cups in the hotel bathrooms.
That's a great story.
Phenomenal wine. Yeah, that was 24 years old by the time we had that. My parents and I, and still had some fruit to it. I wasn't in the habit of making tasting notes back then, but it was really good.
Did you have trouble taking the cork out?
No.
Did you have to use a fancy tool or just a regular cork?
Regular opener, and being a Rioja, the cork was like much longer than regular corks. That's the design for aging, and it was still in good shape.
Wow.
Interesting.
But yeah, you hear these stories about some of these century wines from Bordeaux, and if anybody's got one they want to offer us to try, then I'd be willing to give it a go. 100-year-old wine that can still be drinkable.
But
like you say, it's a different demographic, it's a different market to most people.
What's funny is someone had served me a wine from 1980. It was a French cab. I forget exactly where it's from, but he opened it for me. He said, "Oh, this is my favorite wine of all time. You need to try it." And he opened it for me, and it smelled of Brett, Brettanomyces, which is a bacterial infection or a fungal infection. But that's just what they're used to, with these older wines. It has that quality to it. But I couldn't get over that it had this Brettanomyces quality, and that's all I could pick up out of it. So I felt bad.
Yeah, and aging is good to a point. You still need the fruit. If it tastes just like dates, figs, and other what I call the brown flavors, and there's no fruit left, then it's. I guess some people do like that. And I remember when we had a wine club event and we had the last of the 2005 Sculpterra cab. I think the 2005 was good. The 2006 I thought was past it, but somebody bought the last of it. So who am I to judge for everybody? It's very subjective.
Okay, let's go to Pablo. Pablo, you're doing a lot of outside pourings for us this year. I enlist you and I ask you, do you have anything new that you want to do or that you're doing pouring wise?
I just love the interaction with customers, outdoors, especially festivals. People are just, they show up, they're anticipating a great time, they're smiling, they're happy, they're giggling, and it just gets better as you pour them some wine. So I've enjoyed the one in Hanford, downtown Hanford in the Valley.
Oh, okay.
I've done a couple of Camarillo food and wine fests. Those are really nice. They're well run. Some of them aren't, but that one is one of my favorites. The Pinot and Paella in Templeton, amazing. Small town, local feel, rustic, and almost you can almost picture people walking around in the grass barefoot, just having a old world kind of time.
Yeah, I think for Pinot Paella, I'm going to try to get some of the Pinot and Paella people here on the podcast a couple weeks before we do that, because it's very special. People don't think of Paso and Pinot as coexisting.
It is a special event.
Yeah. It's built a cult following. The same people come to that event every year, and the food is incredible.
I was at the first one because at the time I lived in Templeton. Mark and Maggie started it.
Mark and Maggie Goldberg. Yep.
Yes, and Dallas Holt won the first contest. Yeah, he had that 10th Street Bass Cafe in San Miguel. Yeah. So I have some history and one of my favorites. But when I was in Oregon, I was distributing wine for you guys. I did festivals out there. I poured at a wine bar in Corvallis, and pouring Paso bold wines in Oregon in the Willamette Valley is a great experience because their wines are understated. They don't have the thicker skin, the longer growing season. So when they go from a Willamette Pinot to a Paso Bold Red. It's like the eyes go up, like, wow, give me some more of that. So that was a lot of fun.
Now, I've been trying really hard with the Mexican-American community to wine education, get them to stop drinking so much beer and drink more wine. So, Pablo, how can you help us with this, being Mexican yourself?
I think, at the 30,000-foot level, you have to relay it to food because it's such a beer drinking culture. And, slip in some shots of tequila now and then, too. But it's relating it to like a home-cooked or, well-cooked meal of enchiladas or Chile Colorado, and pairing a good wine with a meal like that. I think more Hispanics, more Mexicans need to really experience that. And with Frankie's help, getting new Mexican restaurants out there to carry our wine, I think that's how you start, is offering that option.
Right.
I drink beer every day. Let me have a glass of red wine.
Yep.
And get that sensory experience. But other than that, I think I think we do a good job teaching at Sculpterra. One-on-one with customers. A lot of Mexican families come, and it's wine tasting for the first time. And we share that with them. The full experience of wine is having it with a dinner.
Does your own family drink wine?
We do.
Relatives?
We do. We love wine. Yeah. My 5 brothers and 4 sisters. You bet.
Nice. Well, there you go. We need more Mexican Americans to get into wine.
Yes, I'm doing my part.
Pablo's doing his part. Okay, moving on to the world of wine, the section where I talk about some current topic trend in the wine industry. I want to talk about screw cap versus cork. We've talked about it a little bit. Our Viognier we're going to taste at the end of today's show, stick around for the tasting, is a screw cap bottle. I'm a huge fan of screw cap. In fact, we were at Manny's Pizza's winemaker dinner. That was fantastic, by the way. We did that. That
was fun.
The Thursday before I left. Mm-hmm. And I opened a bottle of our Statuesque. Was one of the wines we were pairing with, and it was corked. And I was thinking, even at that event, like, I hope I brought enough bottles, because now there's a bottle that we can't drink. And I thought to myself, what if we used a screw cap, it wouldn't have been corked. The screw cap has a lot of benefits.
True.
You never get a corked wine. You don't need a wine opener. It's pop and pour. It's easy to take. It's just you don't have to push the cork in after you open the bottle and hope it doesn't leak, or push it in too far and have to take a corkscrew to open the bottle up again. So I want to get your guys' opinion on screw cap and cork. I've been slowly transitioning more of our bottles every year, every bottling, from cork to screw cap. I think the reserve wines, Cab Reserve, Primitivo Reserve, the Bentley Cap, Petit Syrah, those 4 probably keep with all natural cork. But everything else is going to be good eventually.
Yeah, customers comment on that all the time. Hey, I had this bottle a couple of years ago, and it was a cork, and now it's a screw cap. So we have, us behind the bar, we have that conversation with customers that there's been some surveys done cork versus screw cap. I think Penfolds in Australia did a 12-year survey, if I remember right.
Wow.
And at the end of 12 years, they opened up several different other wines, screw cap versus cork, and the freshness overall was better, of course, with a screw cap.
Right.
Yeah. And then we're saving cork trees on top of that.
Right. I didn't mention that. That's very good and better for the environment.
I guess I'm old-fashioned, or at least I think if it's a special occasion, a fancy wine, and I go like the reserves and such, I want to break out my fancy Lagry or corkscrew, and it's part of the process, the experience.
Exactly,
It's
it
just
is.
opening the wine.
It is.
And I do kind of wonder, what would they do with the cork trees if they weren't necessary? So yeah, for me, it's a natural product, and it's the part of the process for opening it. So but I can see why. The cork wine is a real shame when it happens.
Do restaurants still open a bottle and have the guests smell the cork? Is that still part of the...
Yeah, I've always found that kind of funny because they assume that you know about corked wine and how to check it. On the odd occasion in the past, I've been in a restaurant and they serve you a bit of wine in a glass, or they hand you the cork, and I don't know what to do with that. I just taste it. Yeah, it tastes okay. For me, it should be. If a psalm is opening the wine for you, he's the one more likely to know, to check on these things. So.
But I agree with you, Darren. I like the overall presentation, especially, a special bottle and a nice group of friends or family and a nice dinner. Then the whole presentation part of it with the cork, the sound of the cork coming out. And pass the cork around to everyone. This is what you're going to smell.
Yeah.
But I think, the wine quality is just as good. And the market primarily, isn't it, buy it and drink it now.
Right.
A huge percentage of it.
Yeah, I think 90% of wine is drank within 24 hours of purchase. So why are we wasting cork on a wine somebody's going to open right away? Most people don't store wine, age wine, keep it in a cellar. That's a small amount.
Should we share what the official name is of the screw cap?
What is it?
The Stelvin enclosure.
Oh, right. Yep. Stelvin. And now they have...
A little bit of trivia.
Yep. Air breather holes to the high end Lux.
Yeah, I like the look of the Lux capsules for sure. They look so much more premium. Not that makes any difference really to the wine, but it looks like it's more expensive, which is you're getting better value.
Like the Muppets, the first Muppet movie with Kermit and Miss Piggy, and they go to a fancy restaurant and they open a bottle with, it's just a cap. They pop the cap and the waiter says, "Would you like to smell the cap?" And they bring out the cap, really? And then he gives them straws. And it's just this cute scene. And it's like, I think that's what we're coming to. Like, how many people are smelling the cork? How many people are doing this whole presentation?
That is so cute.
But
it's our, being the oldest here, it's our generation, older people that grew up with the cork.
Right.
So the millennials, the Z-Gen, they accept it. No one ever asks about, is it better with the cork or not, when I'm pouring for a young person.
Yep. All right, well, let's move on to Nerd Out on Wine, Viognier. I said it earlier, this is my personal favorite white, and I think it's what Paso does best with our climate. Soils, our temperatures in the summer, obviously, are a big part of it. So I'm passing it to Darren. I want to have Darren share his research and his experience with Viognier.
Yeah, there we go. So, Viognier was first mentioned in the 18th century, and it tends to be considered a northern Rhone grape. So the far north of the northern Rhone Valley. Same country we find Syrah. Côte Rôtie, Hermitage, in that kind of area. There's a small region called Condrieu, where it's most well known from. Nobody really knows its history. It has some genetic ties to Mondeuse Blanche, which is one of the parent grapes to Syrah, and also some genetic links to grapes in the Alps there between France and Italy. And it may well be that its ancestors or Viognier itself could have been introduced to France by the Romans. One of its other distant relations is Nebbiolo, which is makes for Barolo wine, because world-renowned red wine. But yeah, distant relation of Viognier. These days there are 40,000 acres of it grown worldwide, with roughly a tenth of that grown in the US. But as recently as the 1960s, it was almost extinct. So it's really come back. So all the numbers here, 20 acres left in France in the mid-60s.
Really?
So a number of factors involved with that, disease, including phylloxera, war and all kinds of things got in the way. But yeah, literally only 20 acres left in the 1960s.
Wow.
But it does prefer a little more warmth compared to the most well-known white grapes, your Sauvignon Blanc, Chardonnay. So it does particularly well here in Paso. If you're if you really love Viognier, you want to try where it's from. Condrieu that's all they do, because the French love their rules. So Condrieu, that is their only grape. Not allowed to grow anything else in Condrieu. But you'll often see it elsewhere in the northern Rhone Valley. Co-fermented with Syrah can make for some pretty wild wines, but also it helps balance acidity, helps retain the color, adds some complexity, floral notes into Syrah. We did touch on that briefly in the previous episode. So co-fermented. Viognier is highly aromatic, high levels of terpenes, aromatic compounds. So when the wine is fermented, you also end up with esters from the fermentation. So very aromatic. So a lot of fruity and floral notes to it. So much more aromatic than Chardonnay usually.
Oh, yes.
So, Paul, can you explain what terpenes and esters are? Because
Well, I would say it's
words.
Organic chemistry, benzene rings. So it's the oxygens and hydrogens. It's an aromatic ring. If you looked under a microscope, you can actually see the benzene rings of the wine. Like we say, it smells like lavender. Well, if you look under a microscope, and you could see the benzene ring, the aromatic of the oxygens and the hydrogens, and how they're bonded together and linked. So monoterpenes is one of those bonds. One of those. It's a shape, right? It's one of those organic chemistry. That's but when I was in college, organic chemistry was great, because then it's like you're really understanding the nuts and bolts, and that. But yeah, monoterpenes are what tastes fresh and fruity. You don't want methoxypyrazines, which we've talked about, which is another organic compound, naturally occurring, benzene rings, aromatic, but those are green vegetable tasting. So just like Darren was saying, when Viognier is typical for peach, melon, apricot, cantaloupe, those flavors just jump out. Aromatic, easy to pick up. Like when you're tasting Viognier, it just pops out of the glass. All those flavors, and I've talked about it. I experiment picking at different degrees of ripeness, and that makes a big difference too. If you pick late in the year when the grapes are ripe and raisiny, you get a lot more white peach flavor. If you pick earlier in the year, you get more orange, more of a citrus taste out of the grapes, out of Viognier in particular. But I noticed right away that Viognier holds up in the heat. What I mean by that is it doesn't. The grapes don't turn to become raisin quickly. Like if Paso can get 110 in the summer, and if you have white grapes hanging in the 110 degree heat, you'd think they're going to raisin up, shrivel up, and stress out and be done. But we get that cold in the evening, so this is one of those grapes that likes the heat, and it'll hold out a little longer. You still wouldn't want to pick Viognier in end of October, November. I wouldn't wait that long till the vine's hanging out and the grapes hanging out on the clusters. But it holds up much longer than Sauvignon Blanc, Chardonnay, any of those other whites that we grow here. So it's because, like Darren said, it's from a hotter region in France where it was typically found. We always talk about how to the proper way to say the grape. Viognier, it's really Viognier is how we're supposed to say it.
I was
That's a
watching
topic.
a French guy on YouTube this morning, and he pronounced it 3 different ways in the space of 5 minutes. So I'm not sure we need to be also strict on these things.
Good point. I like to tell people you say Viognier, and they remember.
Yeah, I've always thought the Nier would be Viognier.
Yeah.
But I think most French people kind of relax a little bit, and they're not pronouncing every syllable so strongly. So yeah, Viognier it's fine. It's close enough for us.
And all the Rhone whites, just like Viognier, do great. You've got Marsanne, Roussanne, Grenache Blanc is great. Viognier. So these are all good candidates to grow in Paso. Those but these are more unknown grapes. So I think as people get more educated on Rhone whites and why they do so well, thanks to Tobler's Creek, they've done a great job educating, and they have blogs and videos, and they've really been talking about this for years and years. So
and we've got just about 10 acres now at Sculpterra, because we had the first planting in 2005, and then more recently where we did have Zinfandel, we've got more, but that's already producing a little fruit, isn't it?
it'll get grapes this year. This will be our first year.
First year.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Looking forward to that. So
What leaf will you harvest?
This will technically be the 4th year.
Okay.
Well, actually, the vines were dormant, so we bought dormant 1-year-old vines. So when we planted them, they were already a year old, and this will be the 3rd year, but they're technically 4 years old now. So
Are you going to harvest
this year should produce quite a bit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Because now we've trained them up to the catch wires, the guide wires, and it's going to be cane pruned and mechanically harvested. I'm a big fan of mechanically picking. In that particular vineyard, it's steep, but it's not unbearable. It can be machine picked. So should work out well. Then we can get the whole block picked at once or divide it into 2 sections, but get it done early in the morning when it's cold, and that's super helpful. So
Often the biggest selling wine we have at Sculpterra is such a broad appeal. It's often known for its kind of almost oily, unctuous kind of mouthfeel, its character, and along with its complexity and sometimes higher alcohol levels, it'll appeal to a lot of wine drinkers, including red drinkers. So often considered the red drinkers white wine.
Yeah.
And then it pairs great with Asian foods, especially Thai food. It's great with Viognier.
Yeah, spicy shrimp. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's just the kind of the counteracting taste of the fruity and sweet and tropical and sour, and great experience. So if you haven't done that, try that. Viognier and Thai food, Asian food. Go for it.
I know you get excited about all your vineyards, but you're probably super excited about the new Viognier.
Yes.
You're going to get more heat units up on top. It's going to be interesting, that first bottling.
Right, and we've had to purchase Viognier from other vineyards because we didn't have enough on our own property. And those other vineyards were great, and I've enjoyed working with, East Side Vineyards, West Side Vineyards, North Coast, wherever we've been getting Viognier. But to have it all grown on our own property, and I can really narrow it down, and I just, it's gonna be fantastic. More Viognier, we. Like Pablo said, we can't make enough. We can't keep it in stock. It sells great, and everyone
we sell
wants
it
it
every year.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's move on to the event calendar. Thank you, Darren. Darren, did we miss anything about Viognier? We touched it all.
Well, we'll be tasting
job.
some and going through the flavor profile a little later. But
That's right.
Cool.
Yes, should be good. Looking forward to the next vintage for sure.
Yeah, speaking of Viognier, at the open house party, which is February 21st, 22nd, so you have two opportunities to, if you're a wine club member, it's free to come, Saturday and Sunday, and I'm going to bring out the 25 Viognier at the party, so get to taste that. We've got our menu prepared and do a barrel tasting, definitely, and maybe a Magnum giveaway, so please come to that. And then we've got our blending party on the 28th, which we had a group of 6 recently purchased tickets. Well, we might get 24 people or so. It's going to be a small, intimate experience where you really get to learn about wine and similar to this podcast. I talk about whatever vineyard, grape growing, winemaking, get really technical, and why I blend, how I blend, which wines benefit from blending, knowing when to blend. So very fun. You get to be the winemaker for the afternoon. So check out the website. Those tickets are live. It's $150 for everybody and $125 for Wine Club members. It includes lunch. It includes a bottle of wine. And if your table wins, if you win the blending party, you get a Magnum that you get to take home. And we cork it, label it, wax it, give it to you right there. You get to have your own name, label it.
Where else can you get that?
Yeah. And then our food and wine pairing, which we're now calling Taste and Tour. It's on Zinfest weekend. Zinfest in Paso is always the third weekend in March. This year it's March 20th, 21st, 22nd. We're bringing out all the Primitivos. We got the Reserve Primitivos, figurine blend, Primitivo Port, multiple vintages of Primitivo. And that weekend also we're doing our Taste and Tour event, which this has been really fun. We did this last year for the first time, where you move from sculpture to sculpture, trying a different appetizer with a certain paired wine at a different spot in the garden. And you learn about the art, our sculptures, and you get to move around the garden. So many times people come to Sculpterra and say, I never noticed the flame sculpture. I never noticed this horse sculpture. And this really makes you go to different spots in the garden. It's going to be a beautiful afternoon. It's always fantastic weather in March.
That is the first day of spring.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. Mm-hmm. And I'm going
another bonus.
Have you work at this event, Pablo, if you're available. Yeah.
Come in.
Very fun. All right. Too much information. Okay, you guys ready for this? I know this has been the fan favorite part of the podcast, one of my favorite parts of the podcast. Do you guys know John Salley, the NBA basketball player? John Salley.
Yes.
Yeah, he played on... Well, he won four NBA titles on 3 different teams. He's the only NBA player to win 4 NBA titles on 3 different teams. He played for the Detroit Pistons in 89 and 90 for the Bad Boy Pistons. He played for the Chicago Bulls with Michael Jordan, of course,
boo.
Dennis Rodman, and Scottie Pippen. I got my red shirt today for the Chicago Bulls. He played on the LA Lakers.
Yay, Lakers.
Kobe and Shaq, those days. So a remarkable NBA career. And he saw our wine for sale in a store in down in LA. Forget these. Maybe I'll remember the town by the time this podcast is over. And he liked the label. He was interested. He got in contact with our distributor, and they got in contact with me. And I spoke with him on the phone. He makes wine. He made wine in Napa years ago with a winery, and he does vegan food. He only eats vegan and vegan wine. So he made his own organic vegan wine in Napa. I think he sold it rather quick, and he's interested in doing this again. So, Mr. John Salley, if you want to do this, I would love to do it with you. Thank you for speaking with me. We've gone over ideas and wine labels, and he has a podcast. He's been podcasting for a few years. I've invited him on this podcast. So John Salley, please, whenever you're available on a Tuesday, I'd love to have you come. He loves wine, and a lot of NBA players drink wine after games on the weekends. He knows his wine and has a great palate and loves it. So I'd love to partner up with him and make him wine.
And like your dad, they're both from Brooklyn. There's a connection.
Yeah, no, he's an actor. He's done film. He's a DJ. He's done a lot in his life, and just to make it to the NBA, you think about how hard it is. I mean, these guys are the best of the best, and he's won 4 NBA championships on 3 different teams, and he's an NBA analyst. He knows the game, really knows stuff. He told me he goes to Tobin James. He was here years ago and went to Tobin James and had a great time. I told him about the hot springs because he loves that kind of thing, and he'd be interested in coming to Paso and spending a weekend in Paso and learning about the area. So, John Salley, please, let's do it. Join me on the podcast, and I would be honored to make you wine, and
it'd be great to see you.
Do it. Our wine is vegan. I've researched it. There's nothing that we do or don't do to the wine that would make it unvegan. So natural wine, vegan wine. I know that's important to a lot of people. It's a great thing. So our wine's vegan. We need to be telling people more and more about this.
Good to know, because I've never really, shared that with anyone at the winery.
Mm-hmm.
That's a bonus.
Vegan wine. All right. Well, what about barn owls, animals in the vineyard? My section where each episode I talk about a different animal. I think I talked about them previously, but I wanted to bring them up again because they're so important in the vineyard. They can, I think one of these barn owls can manage an area of 10 acres or a square mile and eat 8 mice a night or squirrel, mice and gophers and rodents. So they are great natural predators. And you've seen people build the barn owl houses, right? Where you put it on a pole and you build a house. Those are great, but you have to clean it annually, at least once a year, because the way their lifestyle works is that they'll basically nest in a tree. They'll eat the animals, leave the bones and skin and guts everywhere. They make a mess of their home, of their habitat, and they just move on. So if you clean the barn owl house, then they'll stay or they'll come back to it. But once they've done it for one season and it gets filled with dirt and bones, they'll just leave. So you have to clean it. And the other important thing was if you make a barn owl house is don't put a perch on it. A lot of people make that mistake because you think, you're making a birdhouse. You want the bird to fly in, get on the perch on the little piece of wood, and then go through the hole. But it's best just to have a box and a hole, because if you have a perch, then a hawk flies in, sits on the perch, and eats the little barn owls inside, eats the babies. So they don't need a perch. The way that their claws work, they can just fly into the hole, put their claws on the hole, and throw their body in. That's what they like doing. So don't do that. Most people do that. They make a perch and an overhang and make it cute and asking for trouble.
Open invitation.
Okay, so what do you guys think about barn owls? Comments.
Beautiful. I've only ever seen, maybe 2 or 3. We get them in England too, and they're beautiful birds.
They are. I've lived in the country up here north of San Miguel, Indian Valley, and every night you can talk back to them. They'll start hooting and you hoo hoo, and they answer you. It's so cool that way.
How do you know that's not just somebody else?
My neighbor. But there was a nest above on the oak tree by the women's restrooms here on the site, and there was always a mess on the sidewalk walking into the women's room. And I thought, that's not presentable to these ladies. They're walking over bones and stuff. And so I think, did we cut off that branch?
We did. Yeah,
that's
we
what happened,
pruned the oak tree.
Yeah, but they are messy. The messiest bird that nests. I think they're cool.
Yeah, one barn owl could eat 1,000 mice per year. So that's pretty amazing. But they're not so smart too, because they fly low to the ground, and then a raccoon or a skunk will grab them. I'm sure you've seen all the feathers scattered around, so not so smart. But thank you, barn owls. You do a good job. All right, well, we are up to our mailbag questions. So, Pablo, I wanted you to ask me these questions. These are questions that I get asked often, so go for it. What you got for me, Pablo?
I've got question number 1. Can you tell what a wine is just by smelling it?
Yes, there are certain wines. If say someone pours me Pinot or Cabernet and they pour them side by side, I could tell you which one's Pinot and Cabernet. There are, now if you pour me 2 different Cabernets and say, which one's older, or this from your valley vineyard or your hilltop vineyard, then it gets harder. But I remind people, and I tell people all the time, don't just drink wine, don't just down it, really close your eyes and smell it and commit it to memory. Tell yourself what you're smelling. Certain vintages have certain characteristics that stay with them throughout the life of the wine. So you have to taste a lot of wine. I think that's one of the problems, like if you are doing your Somm class or WSET, it's hard because you have to buy expensive wines, or you have to just constantly taste and train your palate. But you have to smell. Your nose is your best tool shed, best tool in the kit here. Just smell wine often and close your eyes and tell yourself what you're smelling and commit it to memory.
Great point. And our wines in general are very aromatic. Almost every one has a beautiful nose. And that's the first sensory experience. Very important. Okay, question number 2. This is a tough one. What is your go-to wine at home?
Yes, my go-to wine at home. This changes because I love trying new wines that are coming out. So we have our wine club shipment in February. I've tried our 23 Syrah, 23 Mega Focus, the 24 Grenache. So I've tried those in the last couple of weeks and thinking about how they're developing and changing. But I love Cabernet and Cab blends. Recently, the 21 Figurine. I don't know if you guys have had that recently. I think it's at its peak or just at a great point in tasting. So I've been going to the 21 Figurine the last few months when I just want just a great tasting wine. Balanced, complex, gets you all over your palate. Tastes great. But again, it's hard for me to just pick one because I love experiencing different wines, and I love going back in time and trying to think what happened that vintage. Why did the wine come out this way? It came out overripe or underripe or perfect, or I blended it slightly differently. So,
another part to that second question: what's your wife's favorite wine?
Yeah, she loves Petite Syrah, I would say. If she was, if I offer her a glass of red wine, she either wants Statuesque, which is a Petite Syrah blend, or straight up Petite Syrah, because she loves dark chocolate and tannins and stringency, bitterness.
Goes with Mexican food too.
Yep.
Mole, yes.
Exactly. So, But, I just encourage people, just drink lots of wine. Taste different wines, smell different wines. The more you taste, the more experienced you are. And the better you'll be at it. But it is true that some people have more taste buds than other people. I mean, it's just some people are just natural. They can just pick up more tastes and flavors. They have more taste buds per square inch on their tongue than other people. So there are things you can learn by practice, but then there's just some people they can taste more. They have that gift.
They're handicapped, some people.
They are. I'm sure you've had people tell you the taste room all the time. Like, I love wine, but I don't smell this stuff. Or I can't taste this stuff, but I know I like it. So
that's what matters.
Exactly. Okay, let's taste Viognier.
Let's.
You guys have the glasses. Let me get the wines here. One moment.
Assume the position, Darren. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll pass it on to you.
We'll begin with, as always, I recommend people start with the younger wine first. So we're going to try the 24 Viognier. 24 Viognier and follow up with 23 Viognier, which was sold out. But as always, I had a couple bottles set aside to bring out at a later date.
And you can have that one.
Perfecto. Okay. Yep, so we've talked about where Viognier is from, the origin, the history, and now we can talk about how it smells, tastes, the texture, all those good things here. Yeah, and as always, Viognier, it can change a lot. Just the look of it and the color. I've had Viogniers, I've made Viogniers that are super clear and white without any color at all. Then I made Viogniers that come out pale, orange, yellow, hay. A huge spectrum of how Viognier looks. So.
Oh gosh! Oh, this is such a beautiful nose.
Yeah, 2024 was fruit entirely from other growers, wasn't it?
Off-site, yes.
Yeah, we had that frost in April. Kind of ruined things for our own Viognier. All the more reason to plant some more. So, peach and nectarine and honeydew.
Yep.
Yeah, honeysuckle.
Yeah, and you think of white wine, you should have it with fish or light fare, chicken, things. But you can drink it on its own. It's great. You don't have to have it just in the summer. We sell Viognier all year round, wintertime, Thanksgiving, Christmas. There's always an excuse to have white wine, especially Viognier.
A nice pineapple right after that honeysuckle and honeydew.
Yeah, you should try it. And because a lot of people will serve white wine as cold as possible, but Viognier, a little more body, I'd probably go closer to 48, 50 degrees. Allows for more of the aromatics.
Every year, Paul, it's such a beautiful wine.
Well, thank you.
I've been here 14 years, and what was the first vintage?
2008.
Okay.
Yes.
Always spectacular.
Yeah, and I wanted to mention this too, that the first few years when we bottled it and had it at the tasting room, nobody knew it. Nobody wanted it. They couldn't say it. They didn't know what it was. And then it just, bam, it just took off.
Yes.
People fell in love with Viognier, and people understand, like, this is what you buy. If you come to Paso and you're searching for white wine, you buy Viognier. Yes, we can do Chardonnay, Sauv Blanc, Pinot Grigio, Muscat, Riesling, all these other whites, but Viognier is the one in our area. Matches our climate. Okay, here's our 23 Viognier. So we like talking about aging wines. Let's see if this is aging, if it's changing.
Yeah, it's just always smells so ripe and sweet, and yet it's dry on the palate. The residual sugar is very low.
There we go. Yeah, so the colors are similar. I would say this one,
I think
maybe
slightly lighter,
a little less yellow and a little more straw.
more straw.
Yeah, so this is a blend of 3 vineyards. We had Suki Saran's vineyard was 48%. It was 30% from the Robert Hall Home Vineyard, which is right next to Hunter Ranch Golf Course, and then 22% is from our own vineyard with the 2 different blocks, Lago de los Patos and Vista de los Venados. So, and this one
This is beautiful.
was bottled February 2024. So now it's had 2 years in the bottle, in a screw cap bottle.
This is more nuanced. The 24 is such a big, huge expression. This one is like a little more elegant.
Yeah.
Yeah, more apricot.
Yes, I taste the apricot.
Yeah, and it has a cleaner finish, I would say.
Yeah,
It's very quick on your palate.
It keeps transitioning in subtle ways.
Yeah.
Yes, very nice.
A little of this tucked away in the library, I think. Not much left of the 23.
What's fun is making Viognier, producing Viognier during harvest. This is made without the skins, right? So we just pick the grapes. It goes direct to press, start the fermentation in a cold tank, and the smells just explode in the winery. You get all this peach, apricot, honeydew, cantaloupe smells. I mean, they're just there, and it's at the early part of harvest where there's not red wine making happening. Right. So those smells are dominant in the building, and it's fantastic. I love that.
What's your case count for the 24 vintage?
Yeah, the 24 was only 700 cases of our Sculpterra Viognier, which we only have a few pallets left. Right. And the 25 harvest was light too. So 25 we're bottling 630 cases of Sculpterra and 2 pallets of
the
Héroe.
Oh, wow.
So 120 cases. So the Héroe, I need to save at least a pallet just for wholesale. And then the other pallet will be for the Héroe Wine Club. So you should join the Héroe Wine Club. That's one of your only opportunities to buy the Héroe Viognier. And then we will sell it to a couple of our wine club members that have been asking over and over again, what is the Héroe Viognier? When is it back? We want Héroe Viognier.
Got a question, Paul. Have you ever considered aging in barrel, a certain percentage of Viognier and mixing it into with the stainless fermentation?
Yeah, I like fermenting it in oak just for that short period, which the short period could be up to a month. But yeah, it would be fun. It'd be fun to age because we bottle it after 5 months. So if we did 5 months, 30% new French oak aged and 60% tank aged, it would be nice. Give it that round, soft finish and a little bit of spice and nuance. And
I mean, it's such a success as it is. But I was just curious because I was looking at Darren's tasting notes that there are spice notes that you would get from the wood.
Exactly. Yeah, and because it's a short-lived aged wine. We're not aging it in oak barrels for 12 months. Like French oak, you really need 12 12 to 16 months to get the impact out of the barrel. So if you're just aging Viognier for 4 to 5 months, it's going to give it some oak qualities, but it's not going to dominate it, especially punch on. So I'm a big punch on fan. So this 500 liter barrels, it really doesn't over oak the wine. So I would like to consider it. I would like to have a portion in new French oak.
Potential for a
Someday.
Viognier Reserve.
Oh, there we go.
Ooh, I like that thought.
Well, you guys, cheers. Thank you. Very fun. Don't forget, everybody,
gone.
please like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell.
Santé.
We mentioned last week we're going to start a new YouTube channel with just the podcast. So that's going to probably start next week. There'll be a link from the old page to the new page. So follow that. I think it's really going to help with that, with our broadcasting and the algorithm. YouTube's all about the proper way here.
Right.
Algorithm.
John Sally, you're invited.
John Sally, I know you enjoyed this
John
wine
Sally,
too.
Like,
Viognier.
subscribe, comment. It's for you specifically, John.
Wonderful, you guys. Thank you. We'll be back next week. We've got lots on the calendar, lots of fun people that you're going to meet real soon. So we'll be back.
Cheers.
Cheers.